What ancient warriors knew about reading hidden agendas. Here's something nobody tells you about power. The strongest people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the ones watching, calculating, reading the subtext beneath every word. And that skill? It's not something you're born with, it's something you build. The same way Spartan warriors built their legendary awareness on the battlefield. Spartan soldiers faced a terrifying reality. Their enemies didn't always attack head-on. Persian forces specialized in deception, fake retreats, false surrenders, strategic chaos. A young Spartan who took everything at face value didn't survive his first campaign. The ones who lived learned to trust their instincts over appearances, to feel danger before they could see it. They developed what military historians call tactical paranoia, the healthy suspicion that saved lives. That same principle applies to every conversation, negotiation, and decision you face today. Modern manipulators are descendants of ancient tacticians. They don't assault your logic directly because that's too obvious. Instead, they target your emotions, your ego, your deep need for validation. They make you feel seen, understood, special, while quietly steering you exactly where they want you to go. Neuroscience backs up what warriors knew instinctively. Your brain processes way more information than you consciously realize. Micro-expressions, voice pitch changes, hesitations lasting microseconds. Your limbic system catches all of it before your rational mind can analyze anything. When something feels off, that's not paranoia talking. That's millions of years of evolutionary survival instinct detecting a threat your conscious mind hasn't identified yet. Here's the truth they don't teach in business school or self-help books. Doubt is not weakness. Doubt is intelligence in action. When someone pressures you to decide fast, to just trust them, to ignore that uncomfortable feeling, they're betting you'll override the exact defense system evolution gave you. High performance isn't about moving fast. It's about knowing when to pause, breathe, and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way right now? Medieval knights had a concept called guard, a defensive stance where you stay ready without being tense. It wasn't just about sword position. It was about reading intent, sensing aggression before it manifested. A knight who ignored his instincts ended up face down in the mud. In today's corporate world, in digital spaces, you face the same challenge. People trying to move you like chess pieces. And the first rule is brutally simple: if you feel like you're being played, you probably are. Drop "aware" in the comments if you've ever had that weird feeling and later found out you were right. And since you're already reflecting on this, hit that like button. This video is about to show you exactly how to defend yourself, how silence becomes your most dangerous weapon. Let me show you something powerful. In most manipulations, you defeat yourself. The manipulator just sets the stage. You fill the empty space with your own insecurities. And the tool they use for this? Strategic silence. FBI negotiators who've studied hostage situations for decades discovered something counterintuitive. Whoever speaks first usually loses. Not always, but most of the time. Why? Because silence creates psychological discomfort. Your brain interprets silence as social rejection, and you feel almost physical pressure to fill that void. And when you speak, just to break the silence, you reveal everything. Elite poker players use this religiously. They don't talk. They stare. They wait. The amateurs start stuttering, justifying their bet, giving away free information. The professional just observes, silent as stone. Every word you say is a data point they'll use against you. Every justification is a confession of insecurity. Now translate that to real life. That uncomfortable pause after you make an offer. That evaluative look without words when you pitch an idea. That silence that makes you feel like you need to explain more, give more arguments, lower your price, surrender ground. That's not accidental. That's technique. And it works because we're socially programmed to seek approval and avoid rejection. There's a fascinating story about Japanese diplomats in international negotiations. They'd sit, listen to Western proposals, and stay silent for minutes. Actual minutes. Americans and Europeans, desperate to fill the void, would start making concessions, improving offers, surrendering position. The Japanese just waited and won. The countermove is simple to understand, but hard to execute. Learn to be comfortable in silence. When someone makes a strategic pause, you make a longer one. When they try to pressure you with non-response, you respond with even greater absence. It's psychological chicken. Whoever gets uncomfortable first loses. High performance is about controlling your emotional reactions, and silence is the purest test of that. Practice this. In your next difficult conversation, after making your proposal or stating your position, just stop talking. Count to 10 mentally. Let the other person break the silence. You'll be shocked at what people reveal when nobody's talking. More importantly, you'll stop selling yourself cheap just because silence made you anxious. Medieval interrogators knew this too. They didn't torture for confessions. That leaves marks and creates martyrs. They sat, waited, let silence do the work. Prisoners would confess to things they hadn't done just to escape the crushing weight of that emptiness. Don't be that prisoner in your own life. Here's what changes when you master silence. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop being desperate for approval and start demanding respect. You stop filling gaps with nervous energy and start creating space for others to reveal their true intentions. Silence is an absence of communication. It's the most honest form of communication there is. Comment silent if you're going to test this in your next negotiation. And hit that like we're digging up secrets they never wanted you to know. Why professional manipulators make you think their ideas were yours. Here's the disturbing part. Master manipulators never impose their ideas on you. They make you believe their conclusions were yours all along. It's surgical level psychological precision. And there's a specific technique that's been used for centuries, from Roman courts to modern boardrooms. Great Roman lawyers mastered the art of concessio, starting by agreeing with your opponent to disarm their defenses. Cicero, one of history's greatest orators, never attacked directly. He built bridges of agreement, got the audience nodding yes, yes, and when defenses were down, he introduced his narrative as if it were the natural evolution of the reasoning. The victim literally convinced themselves. This method is used today in advanced sales, corporate negotiations, even toxic relationships. Here's how it works. First, the manipulator listens to you. Really listens. They let you talk, validate your feelings, even repeat your own words back to you. This creates a sense of safety, of being understood. Your brain releases oxytocin, the trust hormone. You lower your guard. Then comes the dark magic. They start reframing your words, subtly twisting the meaning. So what you're saying is, and they say something that isn't exactly what you meant, but it's close enough that you don't contest it. This happens 3-4 times. Suddenly, you're defending a position that was never yours, but seems like it was because they used your own words as bricks to build their castle. Modern social engineers call this progressive mirroring. You start by completely mirroring the person, creating rapport. Then you start making small changes in the narrative. If the person follows and 80% of people follow without noticing, you have complete control of the conversation. It's terrifying because it's invisible. The defense? Brutal in its simplicity. Write things down. Document what you actually think before important conversations. Because human memory is malleable, and manipulators know this. They count on you forgetting what you said 10 minutes ago. When you have your own words written down, you can see the distortion happening in real time. It's like having a mirror that doesn't lie. Think about Cold War KGB interrogators. They didn't torture for confessions. That's messy and creates international incidents. They talked for hours, for days, made the person retell their story multiple times, each time introducing small alterations. After a while, the victim didn't know what was real memory and what was implanted suggestion. They'd confess to crimes they never committed, genuinely believing they'd done them. This happens in everyday life more than you think. That business partner who slowly shifts the agreement terms. That friend who reframes your concerns as overreactions. That boss who makes you think cutting your compensation was your idea. They're all using variations of the same ancient technique. Leave mirror in the comments if you've caught someone distorting your words. And if this content is opening your eyes, subscribe to this channel. There's so much more to unearth. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. The techniques presented should be used for personal protection and strategic awareness development, never to manipulate or harm others. Ethical use of this knowledge is each viewer's individual responsibility. How? Asking why 3 times breaks any manipulation. Let's end with the deepest truth. High performance isn't about having answers. It's about asking the right questions at the right time. And the most powerful question of all is one manipulators hate. Why? Children do this naturally. Why is the sky blue? Why do I need to sleep early? Why can't I eat candy before dinner? They penetrate layers of authority with pure curiosity. And you know what society does? Trains you to stop asking. Because I said so. Because that's how it works. Because you're being disrespectful. You learn that questioning is rudeness, is slowness, is weakness. Lie. Questioning is absolute power. Ancient Greek Stoics had an exercise called premeditatio malorum, visualizing the worst possible scenario before acting. But before that, they did something even more fundamental. They questioned their own assumptions. Why do I believe this? Who told me this was true? What evidence do I have? This mental practice made them practically immune to manipulation, because manipulation only works when you accept and question premises. In business, the biggest corporate disasters happened because nobody questioned. Enron, Theranos, the 2008 crisis. In all these cases, there were people who felt something was wrong but didn't have the courage to ask, why? Out loud. The cost of not questioning was trillions of dollars and millions of affected lives. The cost of questioning? A little social discomfort. Here's the practical framework. When someone presents you with a solution, an idea, an opportunity that seems too good to be true, ask 3 questions in sequence. First, why this? Second, why now? Third, why me? If the person stumbles, avoids, or makes you feel bad for asking, you have your answer. Legitimate people love questions because they demonstrate genuine interest. Manipulators hate questions because they expose inconsistencies. Great military strategists always operated with red teams, units whose job is to question everything, attack every plan, look for holes. They weren't pessimists. They were realists. In your brain, you need your own red team, an internal voice that questions, that doubts, that asks, what if this is a trap? That voice doesn't make you negative. It makes you aware. Doubt is the only defense against those who move the pieces. Because when you question, you take control from their hands and put it in yours. You force transparency. You create friction where they wanted fluidity. And the moment you do that, you stop being a piece and become a player. That's the real code of high performance. Never accepting the game as presented. Always asking if there's another board. Comment, question, if you're going to start asking more and accepting less. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. It might be the defense they've been looking for. And if you made it this far, thank you for being part of this expedition. See you in the next one. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. The techniques presented should be used for personal protection and strategic awareness development, never to manipulate or harm others. Ethical use of this knowledge is each viewer's individual responsibility.